Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are through to the semi-finals. It was a little bit of a laboured performance, struggled at times. Second half, obviously, Charlton came out, obviously played a lot better, had to change it in midfield a little bit. I was a bit concerned about injuries, but we seem to have come through relatively unscathed. Obviously, we have to find out how Dallo is. But a decent win. I hope you're all good. Get your comments in, get liking, get subscribing, all that jazz. Keen, great to have you with us again, my man. How are you feeling?
Do you know what it is, right? I'm loving all these wins, right? It's fucking brilliant, but I'm loving being vindicated every fucking week now. Marcus Rashford is vindicating me every single week. He's unbelievable. He is top class. What more can I say about that man? Like, just unbelievable.
Yeah, you know what? The stream that I was watching, naughty me, say what you like, do what you like. It cut out, so I missed the last goal. I didn't even realise, and then I saw that one of the trends on Twitter was Rashford double, so I had to quickly watch a clip, and great finish on the second one as well. Absolutely killing it at the moment. We've spoken a lot about him. I'm sure we'll cover him again tonight. Jamie, I'm going to come to you first. It's been a little while, my man. I hope you've had a great Christmas, a great New Year. Great to see your handsome face back. How you doing, buddy? And talk to me about how you feel.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's nice to be back. Obviously, it's been a while. It's a good result. Props to Charlton. I think they made it difficult for us in the first half at least, which is a big ask for them. I think they played well. All the best to them for the rest of the season. Usually, when you pick up a team in the cup and there are a few divisions below you, you never really know what sort of game you're in for, whether you're going to be in for an easy ride, whether it's one of those games where 9 players end up in the book and it gets a bit tasty, or you end up with just a decent game of football. And I feel like tonight was all in all just a pretty decent game of football. Do you know what I mean? They came with a game plan, they executed it well. We managed to get over the line in good fashion. I think we were good for the 3 goals. Granted, Rashford scoring 2 of them in the last 90 seconds. The scoreline flatters us a little bit more than where we were in the 89th minute, for example. But I think it's not unfair to say that we deserved to win by that sort of scoreline. And like Keane said, I'm pretty sure like every good United fan, and I don't want to slag any of United fans off here because we're all part of the same family, but most people backed Rashford. Most people saw what it meant to him, what the club means to the guy, that he's a local lad who's been with us forever, and he was just having a bit of a bad run of form. But you know how fickle people can be. So it's good to see him back to doing what he does best, but also to see that he seems to be evolving and that he seems to have made that step up, because there have been times when, yes, like his decision making has been frustrating. And we've said that on post-match analysis. We never slated him. That's one thing I have liked about this channel, is that everyone on here has always backed him. But there was times that we did question his decision-making and said that, that needs to be something that he works on if he wants to elevate his game. And it's good to see that his decision-making has improved. He's lethal in that sort of left half space at the minute where he's being deployed. Ten Hag, he's got a manager in Ten Hag that wants to get the best out of him, knows how to get the best out of him. And we're seeing that week in, week out now. He comes on as a substitute, and genuinely, I'm just like, he'll score at some point. You just know that he will.
You've got so much confidence in him. He just looks like a different man, doesn't he? Just with his decision making, taking on opponents, he just looks like he's going to create something dangerous every time.
And he does. And if we throw a centre forward into the mix, like an actual centre forward, by the way. I'm not angry about Weghorst. I'm not against that. If Ten Hag wants him, bring him in. Do you know what I mean? I think I tweeted this before. I think it's stupid to be judging people based on the clubs that they've played for. It's absolutely daft. You look at some of the best United signings. Not I'm saying that Wout Weghorst would be one of the best United signings ever, but you look at some of our best ever signings and the clubs they came from. We wouldn't have ended up with Dennis Irwin if people were that bothered about the clubs that people were coming from. But yeah, you had a centre forward in there that can, play with us back to goal, soak up some of the pressure and link up the play, and we'll see even more out of Marcus Rashford. But to see the goal scoring form that he's in at the minute, what's that? 6 consecutive games now that he's bagged in. The guy can't stop scoring.
7 goals in 6, I think it is now, isn't it? Is it 7 after tonight?
Some boy
broke Rooney's record, as Keane mentioned backstage, the most consecutive goals. It's just so good, isn't it? Like, look, we've all spoken about him. Obviously, we criticise him at times, but I don't know. There's just something wonderful about Rashford. He's arguably the best player we've had since Ferguson, other than Bruno, maybe 1 or 2 others that have done well in seasons. But it's just so good and emotional to see him back to his best. And, as I said last time, long may it continue. Loads of you in the comments, loads of you on Twitter as well. Come over to youtube.com/The Weekly Armchair Sports Talk. We want to go through your comments. We can't see them on Twitter, and it'd be great to read them out. Sean, Andrew, with some great comments in there. Dean as well. And good to see you back, gents. This one really made me tickled me. Molasses' first couple of corners, I've seen better crosses hanging from the Pope's neck. But really enjoyed that one. So thank you very much. Keep them coming. I love these analogies. So obviously, just quickly, we get all the negatives out the way. Diogo Dalot pulled a hamstring potentially. Obviously, we need to wait and see 24 hours to see what happens. Is that a big impact this weekend against City? We've seen a lot better play. I mean, even today when Wan-Bissaka come on, driving forward, a couple of great crosses actually in the first half in particular. Is that an issue for you, Stu? This weekend, or will you still be quite comfortable with him?
From a defensive point of view, Wan-Bissaka offers more solidity, so to speak. But from an attacking viewpoint, I suppose you would look, maybe lean towards Dalot for some kind of creation. But the thing about football is it kind of is what it is, and you can't let it worry you. If you're in that dressing room, you're looking at Dalot out, you'd be thinking to yourself, well, it is what it is. We've got Wan-Bissaka to come in and do a job for us, and he will do a job actually. And I think having someone like Wan-Bissaka in there might just make Haaland think about going out wide, because sometimes he'll drift out to the right or to the left, depending on which side he's playing, to try and put the fullbacks under pressure. And I think he might think a little bit more about whether he would do that against Wan-Bissaka and Dalot because of Wan-Bissaka's tackling ability. But what I would say about tonight's performance is, if you've ever played in a quarterfinal of a cup competition, it's a fucking nightmare. It's the world's worst round to play in, because you've got this real issue of do you stick or twist. And that was really evident in our play tonight. I don't know if you saw, we were quite hesitant at times.
Yeah.
And we've come up against a team that has absolutely nothing to lose. They didn't expect at the beginning of the season to make the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. We would have wanted that. Ten Hag would have put it on his list in his pre-season team talk. Minimum, we want to be here. So it's always difficult. You're in the, from a playing point of view, you're kind of like, well, this game's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be a cakewalk for us, or we're going to be stuck in treacle for 90 minutes. And we were stuck in treacle for 90 minutes. And Jamie was absolutely right. Nobody, any fan that knows anything about football cannot look at Charlton and say, wow, they deserve to get battered 3-0, because they didn't. And it also shows one other thing about the way that football has evolved and developed over the last 10 or 15 years, in terms of the way that players are. They're so much fitter now, even at lower league level. Their technical ability is better. They just don't necessarily know how to put what they want to put in their brains onto the pitch. And I think that's ultimately what got us through tonight, was our ability to be able to find the right pass at the right time, which, by the way, was limited. I thought they were excellent tonight, Charlton. And I really hope that a lot of our fans, like you guys have done, would pay a lot of credit to Charlton, because I think Holden is doing a remarkable job there. They've got no money. They're not a hugely well-funded club, but they've got players who dig in. So from that point of view, it was excellent. Coming on to our man Rashford, when you find that hot streak, whatever it will be. You know, in your 20s, and when you're out on the pull every weekend, you find that you get into this hot streak and you're tapping off different girls every time. This is what a footballer feels like. He does exactly the same. Rashford's thinking every time I got a chance, bang, it's going to hit the back of the net. And he's doing this, he's delivering this belief, this inner monster that he's got inside of it in a minute is absolutely great to see. It's almost refreshing. And, you know, people are comparing him to the 1920 season when he scored, what was it, 23, 24 goals.
Yep.
He's way better than that. Way better.
He is.
Bigger, he's stronger, his aptitude and his attitude. Don't laugh, Mark, because you know I like aptitude and attitude. His attitude at this moment is far, far better than most strikers in the Premier League. And I include Haaland on that. Everyone can talk about Haaland's 22, 21 Premier League goals, but look at the sides. Look at the quality of players that he's playing, that Haaland has, the quality of players that can come off the bench for Haaland as to what Ten Hag's dealing with. It was very evident today, again, wasn't it, that our squad depth isn't there yet. He needs more. It just isn't there yet. But look, I loved watching Charlton play. I thought they were absolutely brilliant, but I loved how we dug deep to win the game. And one of the things about quarterfinal football, by the way, it doesn't matter how you play. It's do you make the semi-final? That's what it's all about. And we've done it. We made the semi-final. So delighted. Feel sorry for Dallo. Clearly didn't get over his injury. He's clearly somewhere along the line kidded the physios. And he hasn't recovered. I'm not quite sure what his injury is in the World Cup, but anywhere around the kind of the knee and the calf does lead to other injuries, hamstring, etc. So I'm not surprised actually with Dallo, but I ain't got an issue with Wan-Bissaka anyway.
No, he's certainly improved over the last few weeks as well. And good points there, Stu. I wanted to talk about Kobbie Mainoo. Obviously made his debut today. Stu not giving me the impression I was expecting, but I felt he made a very good impression of himself. We been quite excited about him. Very good on the ball. Very sort of just assured. And I felt that he did. 17 years old. We had 5 players on the pitch today coming through the academy, and 2 on the bench. Which obviously we always like to talk about that. And he did well, I felt. But Keane, talk to me about his performance tonight.
Yeah, he looked tidy on the ball. So his 1-2s, like his positional play was quite good, and like I think you've seen the difference in his technical ability compared to the 2 midfielders who are actually behind him. From a technical standpoint, you can see he's like a better technical player, in that respect. But yeah, look, for his first team start in a quarterfinal, you can't really ask too much more from a 17-year-old, really. In that respect. Yeah, no, look, there was maybe 1 or 2 times he lost the ball and, he got maybe bullied in a tackle. But, like, look, you're playing against men, you're 17 in the quarterfinal, Charlton playing their hearts out. Like, look, you can't really ask too much more from him. But you can see that there's a reason why himself and Garnacho are playing first team, like, in and around the first team squad, just on the back of winning the FAU Cup. It's a testament to how our academy has been rebuilt. So it's good to see that. And I just want to address Evan Fahy as well, because he says Eric Ten Hag is not playing these young players. Evan, you need to start looking at our matchday squads. Like, we always have a player in the academy since the 1930s. While your club is sending your youth players out to Holland on loan every year. So, like, look, at the end of the day, United do what United do, and we will always breed them young players. And look, I think we have the perfect manager to start bleeding these young players in, because he's actually he's in charge of the under 21s now as well. Like, he oversees all their training sessions and all that stuff now. So, like, look, I think we've the perfect manager coming from the Ajax model to come over to adapt these kind of values and stuff like that into these young players coming through our academy. So great performance by Mainoo. Garnacho, I know Stu is probably going to go in on him and some of his decision making tonight. But look, I'm really happy with our crop of young players that are coming through right now. And it's great. Yeah. We're starting to rebuild the academy, because the academy under Jose Mourinho was fucking destroyed. Sorry for swearing, but I have to on that, because Jose Mourinho absolutely ripped that apart and neglected it. It started getting rebuilt under Solskjaer, and then look, this year we're seeing now, the players getting a chance under Eric Ten Hag. So it's good to see, and long may it continue, especially in hopefully the new age of United, when we do get new owners and we get money pumped into that academy as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. Marcus Rashford is the first player since Wayne Rooney to score 8 games in a row at Old Trafford. If that doesn't emphasise just how red hot he is at the minute. Moving on to Garnacho. Actually, I'm sort of a nice little segue. I was going to talk about him. Decision making. We've spoken about this before. It looked a little bit like he lacked that tonight, but still looked hungry. Still looked like he, he was. Yeah. He looked dangerous. You know what I mean? He had a great opportunity. Probably should have got it around the keeper a bit better, but still good signs of improvement, I think.
Look, it is decision. King's right. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but unfortunately, as a footballer, you have to learn, and you've got to really adapt and learn quickly at the very highest level. And I think Ten Hag on 1 or 2 occasions come out and said, you need to start looking. You need to be more aware. And that's what the only thing I thought about the young lad tonight. Mine, if I pronounced I don't think I can pronounce his name right. But anyway, I understand what King was saying. What I look for in a young player like that, you're absolutely right, King. His technical ability is phenomenal. It's fantastic, and he will grow. He needs to grow in ego, whereas Garnacho's got his ego already. The young lad needs to grow in ego. And so when I'm looking at younger players, I look at their overall game, and I think he did have a steady game, but I'm also looking around to see how he's interacting with senior players. Is he looking, what shall I do now? I'm not saying he's rabbit in the headlights. He's constant, and he was looking around a lot just to see what he should be doing, where he should be. Now, some people are saying that's brilliant. You've got to learn. And, and that is one way of learning. But the other way is, when you're looking around and you're looking for approval of your teammates and senior players, you're not concentrating on what's happening around you. And that's what I was getting at, Keane. I just felt, and he pointed it out to me on a couple of occasions, his concentration let him down. So that's all I was saying. In main points, I take your points exactly, but that's what I look for of a young player. So if you're on there and you're an Eriksen or Casemiro, you're trying to, say to the young lad, look, just concentrate on your own game. When you get the ball, if you're not confident with it, knock it short, but don't lose it. And, but hey, look, he's 17 years old. He made his debut. And he could have done it against a Chelsea or something like that. And if you remember when Garnacho came up against Chelsea, Rudiger started ruffling his feathers, ruffling his hair, which is what I've done plenty of times to young lads. You tap them on the forehead. You grab the shirt, you knock them about a bit. So going back to Garnacho, though, which was your question, but I just want to get that in about mine. He's done it again. He's got his horse blinkers on, he's got his nose bag on, and he's away. And I do love it. I absolutely love it. I do. But if you're about Vegas, and I'm with Jamie on that, I don't dislike the thought of having a Dutch international, by the way, who's just recently come back from the World Cup, 8 goals for Besiktas. I don't necessarily mind that. What I'm interested in, though, is if I'm Vegas or I'm any centre-forward playing through the middle, I'm literally going fucking nuts, because you've done the hard work and you're just going for glory all the time. Football isn't about glory all the time. Football is about utilising the most special players on this planet. The most special players on this planet use their brain first, and then their ego comes in, and you get a bigger ego by using your brain. That's all I'd say about him. I do like him, though. So,
yeah, great comments. Just going to come to a few of the comments. Keep them coming in, guys. Lots of conversation going on tonight. Lots to talk about. Rashford on fire. Rashford's trip to America to improve his fitness during the summer was fantastic for him in hindsight. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, and this one's worked out really well. Evening, lads. 3-0 was a great result. The game was okay. Great rotation from Eric Ten Hag. As I said at the beginning of the show, I was a bit concerned with some of the players coming on, but obviously it was the right choice. And I was only worried about injuries, and obviously the massive massive game this weekend, but it controlled the game, and we were able to sort of take it by the scruff of the neck and then get 2 more goals at the end. So it was good all round, as you say. Charlton put it all on the line out there tonight. To their credit, they were good. They were good at points, especially as we said, particularly in the second half, and really made us work for it and made it so that Erik ten Hag had to make those changes. 5 goals in 11 starts for Anthony. Lots of talk about him being a flop because he was, all this money and whatever else. Absolutely not the case. They can't help the money that they move for. But I would say that's a pretty good return. What do you think, Jamie? And his goal was pretty sensational tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a cracking goal. And we've seen that he's got them in his locker. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it wasn't as good as the one against City, but at least this one meant a bit more than the one against City. But no, I don't think there's any problems with Anthony at the minute. We've spoken before on here about the concern I have with him is that he's very one-footed, like he's very left foot heavy. But he's got a good left foot. Do you know what I mean? And I'd rather sign somebody that has a wicked left foot, which you signed them for. We've clearly signed him in to be able to cut the ball in, either play it in, take a shot, or do whatever. And you can teach him to maybe utilise his right foot a little bit more than buy somebody that's all right with their strong foot, but doesn't do anything special. Do you know what I mean? And the price tag's irrelevant. I know we all like to poke and jibe at rival fans and the rival clubs for the money that they spend, but price tags in modern football is irrelevant because it's nothing to do with a player. It's nothing to do with the player's ability. It's to do with what their current club value them at and what they value their contribution to the team. Again, we joke about Darwin Núñez and stuff like that. And yes, he is a hilarious footballer to watch. But if we're being serious, the price tag is irrelevant. And I'm sure Darwin Núñez will eventually start finding the back of the net a bit more. But same with Anthony. Do you know what I mean? There's clearly a player there. He's young. Ten Hag was desperate to get him. And from everything that Ten Hag has done for us so far, that man could pick anyone in the world. And I'd get behind him because we sit here, right? We can sit here all we want. And we love talking about United. I don't know more about football than Erik ten Hag. And no offence, neither do any of you. So if he says, I want this player, and we go and get him, then you back the player and you back the manager. And I think Anthony will come good. He's 22. He's like I say, he's got a handful of goals for us already, which is nice because we could be in this exact same position and he doesn't have any of those goals. So the pressure's mounting on him. He's getting frustrated every game. But he got that pressure off him immediately against Arsenal. So I think he'll grow. I think when he gets, I know obviously like Dallow's had a really good resurgence in the side, and he's been, obviously Erik ten Hag's first choice right back. Anthony needs an overlapping fullback next to him that constantly overlaps and overlaps intelligently, because that will hopefully make up a little bit more for his lack of a right foot, because it gives him an outlet out wide to pass the fullback.
You're absolutely right. Just quickly interject there. Like you've seen that so many times over the years, and I'd say it's more prominent these days with an overlapping fullback. You see far more attacking fullbacks. But a couple of years ago, the reason why that left-hand side for us was so good was that Rashford and Shaw were both playing impeccably, and the relationship was outstanding. You talk about previous relationships before Neville and Beckham. Neville wasn't a particularly good player going forward, but Beckham allowed him to make those right overlaps, make those correct decisions, and get a lot of assists from out wide and crosses in, right? So you're absolutely spot on. Sorry. Yeah,
so as soon as we're, and we're still building at the end of the day, we're still in a transitional process from the absolute dross that we watched last year. That squad, if you'd have told me 8 months ago that we'd be back in a position where I love the squad's ticking over nicely, we're able to rotate and it not cost us games, and that we're actually, I'm quite confident going into most games these days. If you'd have told me that 8-9 months ago, just off the back of Ranieri, I'd have laughed at you because the squad was disjointed. I hated watching us play football because it was pragmatic and we were doing things stupidly and we just weren't getting the results. So it shows that having a strong presence in a manager come in, make the correct decisions, getting rid of certain people, and allowing that squad to bond, to gel. You look at I don't know if you saw the comments that Lisandro Martinez made about him and Varane, that they've only known each other a short period of time, but it already feels like they've known each other for years and that they've got a really good relationship and they care about each other. That's what I want. those scenes of them after the World Cup final, hugging each other and consoling each other. So we're back in a position where, and again, and I just want to put a disclaimer out, is that yes, we had a position like this under Ollie, where the squad was lovable. They were all getting on and shaking hands and hugging each other. So it's about making sure that we turn that into results as well. But sorry, I've just gone on a bit of a tangent there. I'll go back to your original point. Anthony, I don't think there's anything to worry about. Ignore the price tag. What we've got is a right winger who can score goals when he needs to. He pops up in the right positions quite a lot of the time. That goal that he scored the other night against Everton, he was in the right place at the right time to knock it in, and he'll come good. He's a young lad, and Ten Hag wanted him. That's all we need to know.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to put a negative spin on it, but I just wanted to have a little bit of a stab at people that are going in, really, because I'm more than happy with him. I think he's
people. Do you want to know what it is? It's genuinely because obviously, yes, we spent £80 million on him, but it's because he's Brazilian and he does his little tricks. That's all it is. Is that people love to take the mick out of. Like, look at how hated Neymar is, like, and how disrespected Neymar is. Like, the guy's one of the best footballers of all time, in my opinion. But because he likes to showboat, people use that as a stick to beat him with. And yet, in the same breath, everyone will turn around and talk about how Ronaldinho was one of their favourite players of all time. Yeah. And it's just like, so Anthony, because of the little roulette that he does, the little twirl, people like to say that he's €100 million fidget spinner. It's like, yeah, so what? So what? The guy loves playing football. Let him play football.
Can I come in on that, Marc? Can I come in on that as well, Marc? Like, it's funny because some of these people who are making digs at him, some of it's lack of education, because he's actually playing well before the World Cup. Like, before the World Cup, he was playing really well. He also had an injury, and then he didn't play at the World Cup, which means he had the best part of nearly 2 months without football. Do you know what I mean? Like, that affect any of us on any level. Stu plays ball, I've played ball, Jamie's played ball, whatever. Like, if you don't play ball for a couple of months and you don't train, like you're not going to be sharp. Do you know what I mean? It takes time to get back into the swing of things. And that's what's going to happen with Anthony. And look,
I obviously don't look like someone that plays ball, but thanks, King. Yeah.
I think Anthony's reassessed how he wants to be on the pitch. If you've noticed, his game's slightly changed. He's tweaked his game slightly. In other words, Ten Hag telling him, you've got to do this, or whether it's of his own volition, I don't really know. But he's slightly changed. I think what's important about him is next year he's going to be a completely different player, a completely different animal. You'll see a much better end product from him. You'll see a much more dynamic player than what we're seeing at the moment. I think he had his purple patch, as you quite rightly say. He got injured. He's had his issues over New Year's Eve, which has only just come to light as well. Or over the New Year with his crash, it has only just come to light. And I just think he's probably almost pressed the reset button, and he's maybe now looking at reinventing himself slightly. Not that he needs to, because he's a dangerous player. I think you'll see less tricks for the second half of the season, and they'll probably reappear next season. I think he'll just get his head down and start playing. That's my thoughts on it.
And also, just a quick one. When was the last time? So obviously that's he scored twice now in back-to-back games. He scored against Everton and he scored tonight. So when was the last time we had a right winger that popped up with back-to-back consecutive goals? Do you know what I mean? For years, we were moaning about the fact that our left channel was the only side that we seemed to create any sort of goal threat from.
Sanchez left side, wasn't he? He scored two on the bounce, didn't he?
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of like consistency and knowing that you have a goal threat on the opposite side, which we do, the only concern I potentially have, if we're talking about any sort of concern, is playing with wingers that obviously use their dominant foot on the opposite side of the wing that they're on. So, Rashford plays on the left side with his right foot and Anthony plays on the right side with his left foot, is that it narrows the pitch. So both of them will want to cut inside. So without overlapping fullbacks, we're almost doing ourselves a disservice by losing, a third of the pitch or whatever we want to play. And I know that mass probably isn't spot on, but you know what I mean. So it is important that, and I think that's why Ten Hag obviously opted for Dalot more than he did for Wan-Bissaka. It's clearly that he has now seen something in Wan-Bissaka and that he can offer us something. And I'm pretty sure that Aaron Wan-Bissaka, the man that can't attack or create anything, is level for assists with best fullback ever to exist, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Like, they've both got one assist.
Yeah.
So it's one of those that I think obviously for Ten Hag and his game plan, it is important that we do operate in the wide channels with the fullbacks or with a midfielder that wants to pop up. And I think that's why Bruno Fernandes, we see here, he keeps floating sort of either side as well, and he finds himself in those wider areas as well. So, but I think, yeah, he's a goal threat. He's hungry. You can tell he's got a good attitude. I like his attitude. He's fiery. There's obviously he's got a bit about him which you need, and I don't think he'll coming into the spotlight and being under pressure probably doesn't really have an effect on him. You know, we saw that interview he did where he talks about growing up in the favelas and stuff like that, and the stuff that he saw as a kid. He was like, so playing football is not a pressure for me at all. And it's one of those that I agree with Stu. I think we might see, less trickery from him and just more direct play, and then it'll come back. And to be fair, it'll be wicked when it comes back. The first time he does that little spin after he's bagged 10 goals in a season or whatever, everyone will cheer and it'll be lovely. So
it's one of those. It's the time
exactly.
to do it. You bagged 5 times in the last 6 games. That's the time to do it. And that's incidentally, if you noticed, going back to Rashford though, his style of play now. He's not trying to do the step overs too much anymore. He's not trying to do the little flicks and the tricks. He's just focused on getting around his man and focused on getting into the box. And that, look, is that Ten Hag or is that Benny McCarthy, who's coaching these guys and saying, look, just concentrate on getting the ball or penetrating the box first. If you can trick your way through, fine. But if not, just concentrate. And that's what I've noticed with Rashford. He's refocused to what forward of the like Rashford is used to be, and I think maybe he's looked at, in a strange way, they've probably looked at Ronaldo's decline and the way that Ronaldo's demeanour was around the club and thought, I don't ever want to be like that. That's not what football's about, and could well help anyways.
I want to come to a few things for you before we move on to ratings. Load of you watching today. Thanks for coming in today. Really appreciate that. Get liking, get subscribing. Load you on Twitter as well. Come over to YouTube. Can't read your comments, as I said before. So, first things first. Number of games to reach 20 wins as Manchester United manager. Tommy Doherty, 68. Sir Alex Ferguson, 45. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 42. Sir Matt Busby, 40. Louis van Gaal, 36, believe it or not. Mourinho, 31. Eric Ten Hag, 27. Nice little stat for you there. I know you don't like that, Stu, but it is what it is. Harry Maguire, go on.
I don't mind that stat.
Good. I'm pleased. It's the first one you've liked, so I appreciate that. Coming back to a few things that were said after the game, Harry Maguire was interviewed. I think we have got... if we had got the second goal earlier and we had a little bit more clinical after scoring the first, it would have been a more comfortable night. I think they're all very aware after every game, not just Harry, that sometimes, they need to see these games out better. And that's good. You want the mentality that sometimes there are weaknesses, and that's good to see. He goes on about Marcus Rashford. He's in great form. It's great to see. Playing with a big smile on his face is the most important thing. Enjoying his football, and long may it continue. The club demands doing well in all competitions. Last season, not only were we really poor in the Premier League, were we really poor in cup competitions as well. And we only got 20 wins in the whole of last season, and we've already done that this season. So that's
Ralph Rangnick will not see heaven. I'll tell you that.
It didn't work out very well, which I was disappointed. But anyway, we're not going to go on that. And Sean, loving your comment, Jamie, with using Pythagoras' theorem for match analysis. Love it, he says. Right, player ratings. Let's do this. Tom Heaton. And I'm going to give that to you, Stu, as you love talking about goalkeepers. Let's go.
Wow. 6. Look, he didn't have a huge amount to do. I thought he was very comfortable whenever he did have to do something. He commands his box really well. I don't know if you noticed, but he's a real commander of his box, and I quite like that. So, but he didn't do anything necessarily brilliant because he didn't have to. So he gets a 6 from me.
Yeah, Keane in the background saying it was quite commanding at set pieces and would give him a 7. As I mentioned, a load of you watching, give us your ratings for each player that we obviously going through. So we're going to
I'll
come
meet in the middle.
to...
I'll give him a 6.5 then. I'll meet you in
All
the
right,
middle.
6.5. Stu,
I meet
6.5.
halfway, Stu, because I'm not used to a keeper coming for corners.
No, I know.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that's why I'm probably being a bit generous. I was nearly coughing blood, and I seen a Man United goalkeeper come collecting across.
It's
So
crazy.
yeah,
It's weird, isn't it?
Heaton has a good left hook. Heaton versus Jake Paul 2023. Jesus.
Oh God.
Heaton did everything right, steady. Right, Jamie, I'm going to give you Dallo. Just sort of give me your thoughts on him up until his injury, and then of course Aaron Wan-Bissaka, please.
I reckon 6s for both of them is probably quite fair if I can do that. I think they were both solid.
You can do what you want, mate.
Thank you, darling. I think it was one of those when Dallo goes down injured and you think we're bringing Wan-Bissaka on, you wonder, does that impede us in our attack? Does it change the game? But I don't really think we noticed much of a difference between the two of them, and I think that's as much of a compliment as for Wan-Bissaka as I can give him at the minute. I've always been a big fan of Wan-Bissaka, much to the disapproval of people on Twitter and stuff like that. But I do think there's a good fullback in there, and I think tonight is another feather in his cap for his remontada under Ten Hag, because the fact that he just replaced Dallo and we didn't seem to lose anything. I'm not sure if anyone disagrees with me, but
you're right.
I agree.
Right.
You're spot on.
You're right.
Spot on.
So I think 6s for both of them is a fair one.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Moving on to the centre back partnership, Martinez and Maguire. Keane.
I give Maguire a 6. I think he done okay, but I think there was times he did get caught in the channels, and some of his distribution in the second half I think was sloppy. Even though in the first half he was good on the ball, so I think
very good on the ball.
It kind of evens itself out. I'd give Maguire a 6. I give Martinez a 7. I think he was solid, especially his last ditch defending was quite good, and yeah, like just his passing range. You kind of seen tonight why Ten Hag even at times at Ajax played him at DM, because his range of passing and his intelligence is second to none. So yeah, I give him a 7. And look, I just want him to fucking clatter Erling Haaland on Saturday. I absolutely just want him to absolutely clatter the cunt. Honestly, I just can't fucking wait.
I apologise about that ridiculous language from Keane there, but I can understand what he's saying. I think we can all agree.
I can penalise myself for his language.
You do that, or YouTube might. Or YouTube might, but we'll see. Just wanted to read this out. Actually, I know it's usual talk after a game, but I like this. Ten Hag has said the last 4 is nothing. It's only about winning. Let's hope that obviously happens, but it's not good to see. You want to see that winning mentality and obviously that assertiveness, I think. Right, where were we? Malacia, and I will come to you, Stu.
First and foremost, I tend to agree with Keynes. I'd have given Maguire a 6.5. He wasn't quite a 7, but the only reason I would do that is his progression. Since he's been back in the team, since he's been under Ten Hag, he's progressed. I think we'd all agree he's a much better, solid centre half than what he was 6 months ago. And that's good. It's the only way. I talk a lot, don't know, about playing your way back into form. And I think Maguire's slowly but surely doing
I
that.
agree.
Malacia, wow. That's a real hard one tonight. Real hard one.
Give me a rating on his corner ability first, and then we'll work down from there. It's a joke, by the way.
I know. Like a 6. I'm going to give him a 6. Look, he had one of those games tonight, didn't he? He was very blancmange. He was very neutral in his play. I didn't see any real dynamism, but yet I didn't see anything that would worry me. He got caught out a couple of times. A 6 for me. I can't give him any more. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Out of 10 crosses, 6 overall. I don't know what he means by that first bit, but 6 overall, and I'm guessing that's from last year. Lots of people saying the same sort of thing as well. Middle of the road. I can't disagree with that. Right, moving to the middle of the park. Our long lost brothers that we haven't seen very much recently, Fred and McTominay. I'll pass that to you, Keno.
Oh, thanks. Double sixes for the double sixes. Yeah, not much to say really. 6.
Good free kick.
Even though look,
Look, unfortunately,
let's go that free kick. I was giving him 10 out of 10. Like you would have got 10, man. And because it's Fred, like, but look, both of them in that double pivot, and with Harry Maguire behind them, it gave me PTSD from the Ollie days. So yeah, look, I'll give them both a 6. Didn't do too much bad, but didn't do too much right either. So I'm not going to be too harsh on them tonight. So yeah, I'll give them both double 6s.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Jarvis, Fred 6.5, McTominay 5. Right, let's come to Mino. You've set me off now, Stu. I was saying his name perfectly earlier, now I've been thrown off. Jamie, over to you, buddy.
I'd go for a 6 as well. There's a lot of 6s here for a 3-0 performance, which is bizarre. But yeah, I think it was a solid debut in it. He's probably not given Ten Hag too much of a headache about squad selection, but no one expected that. It's a good introduction to drip feed him in against a tough opposition. Do you know what I mean? Like playing him against, like we said before, League One men, when he's used to the playing with the kids, which is his level at the minute. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously he's head and shoulders above a lot of the other players in the academy. You've seen all the reports about him being one of the most technically gifted people that we have. And obviously that is his level. And we don't want to rush him in too much. So I think tonight was a solid debut for him. It gives Ten Hag stuff to think about moving forward as we get to maybe some more dead rubber games that we might come up with. I mean, obviously, we probably won't have many dead rubber games at the minute, but if we do end up with any, maybe he gets pulled back in. But he's probably one for looking at pre-season for next season and maybe drip feeding him in the way that sort of Garnacho has been drip fed in this season. But yeah, I think he was solid. He didn't do too much wrong, but you could sort of tell that he's a 17-year-old kid making his debut. But I like him. I do like him.
Yeah, I really like him. Been hearing a lot about him, obviously, in the academy this season in particular. Very, very technically gifted player, and obviously, hopefully, that continues. Right, before we come to the strikers, loads of you still watching. Obviously, we really appreciate that, but it's important, obviously, for you guys to like, subscribe and share if you can. Really, really important to us, as I said. Right, moving on to Garnacho. You're the man that you love, Stu. I'm going to pass him over to you.
Well, this is where this is why I view football completely different to the rest of our fan base, so to speak. Because Garnacho gets a 6 for me because he was wasteful. If there was some real end products about it, he'd have been up there with an 8 by his work, his determination, and his drive. But his end product is just not there at the minute, so I can't give any more than a 6.
Garnacho, right, tonight, and at times, because I do like him, I think he's brilliant. Garnacho is like watching someone try and hit a 9-darter and drop the final dart. You have that whole build-up of going, go on, and then you watch him snatch it, and then I was it genuinely is that.
What you want to be able to say is, as you quite like to coin your analogy, I can't speak.
Yeah, good old way, Marc.
That's what you want to see, isn't it? I can't speak. I can't speak because he's done this amazing thing. But if you didn't hear Marc, I went with a 6.
Thank you. And if you don't know who watched darts last week, probably Jamie. Obviously,
I did nothing but watch the darts.
Yeah, I thought you might have.
That final leg
that leg was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. I've been to darts once and I had a great time. I was hammered through most of it, but there you go. But I tell you something, even I was like, whoa, no, surely you can't. No, really? Amazing. Under pressure in the final like that.
Yeah. Not ever really been my thing, to be honest, but perhaps I'll get involved next time.
No,
the boys were going on about it. Stunning. As Jamie likes to say. Lots of great analogies tonight as well, boys. Bring them back next time. Really, really good.
Thanks.
Right, last 3 players. Anthony Elanga, Keane.
Ooh. Ooh.
I give him a 5. Yeah. Yeah, I give him a 5. Yeah, look. He's frustrating tonight, and I think up front he kept going. He kept getting into offside positions. Then on the right, his decision making, he didn't know whether to go inside, go outside. Yeah, I think he needs a loan move. I really do think he does. Just don't, like Stu said the other night, just don't send him to Everton. Whatever you do, don't send him to Everton. I'd actually, to be fair, and people might disagree, I probably would send him down to Middlesbrough, down to Michael Carrick, or even worse, maybe send him down to Ipswich, down to McKenna, because the way both of them teams are playing football right now, they're both playing in a very attacking way. And look, I think he'd get plenty of football, and it'd be an education for him. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Look, when you look at the loan deals for that, likes of Hannibal and Amad Diallo have had this season, and we've seen how how they've developed. I think Elanga needs something similar. And yeah, look, he's not one for trying, is he? He does try, and he does try his best. He does work hard. So look, I like that honesty in a player, but I do think he does need a loan sooner rather than later. Just don't send him to Lampard, because Lampard's going to get sacked in the next week or two. So don't bother.
If you sent him Premier League, this is left field, I know, but I'd send him down to Emery at Villa. It'd do brilliant for Villa, because Emery's astute. It's like Ten Hag. He'd do well for Villa.
Yeah. Who knows? Probably does need a bit of a loan. Don't know what's happened to him. Hopefully he bounces back. And one thing actually I will say is over the years we've had some really poor loans. A lot of our loanees cut short, injured. But it's been a good season.
We haven't paid 20 million for 6 months, have we? The dozy.
What's that again?
They would never pay 20 million or whatever it's likely to work out at for 6 months, like those absolute
Chelsea
bellends down in London.
Also, just to sign a player,
470 grand per game. I think it works out.
Can you imagine?
He's no different. He's no different to Havertz. He's no different really to Sterling.
Nkunku was coming in as well, but
yeah, they're genuinely going to have all these sort of hybrid 8/10s. All these sort of 8.5s, all trying to operate in the same sort of just that area just before the start of the box, all floating around in that false 9 position. They're always going to run into each other. They need a striker. They'd be better off going and getting Weghorst. Do you know what I mean? They just need someone that you can put the ball in the back of the net.
I can imagine the Madrid board saying, we want to get this X, Y, and Z for him. Who's daft enough to do that? Well, call Chelsea. Call that idiot at Chelsea.
I'm glad I'm not the only one, and I'm going to clip this up tomorrow, and I'm going to post it in our group chat, and probably post it on our Twitter account, because I've been going in on Bowley for a long, long time now, and I said in the chat yesterday, I got absolutely roasted. Chelsea need a number 9, and they've got too many of the same suited players.
But they brought, when they brought in Havertz, I was genuinely gutted, because I was like, he's a generational talent.
He will come good.
And it's one of those that, he's probably not done much other than win them the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? That's not a bad thing to have done. But I don't understand. In the same season that you brought in Sterling, who loves to operate from that left-hand side, you've brought in Aubameyang. You've got, like you say, you've got Nkunku coming in, who again isn't a striker. He is that sort of attacking midfielder, false 9, weird hybrid.
They play across the front 3, but not a number 9, is he?
You got Pulisic as well.
Ziyech, who loves to cut in,
and then you have Lukaku out on loan, who they paid 100 million for as well.
It relies what Jamie's talking about. It's totally. Why don't you just bring Lukaku back? I know he's lazy. It doesn't matter, but crikey,
it'd probably be about a 20 million penalty to bring him back, right? Why not? He'd probably do in this system under Potter. He'd probably bang in goals with his hands.
I agree. Yeah,
I think Potter's he's not as bad as people are making him out. I feel a bit sorry for him, really. Should have stayed at Brighton, but I agree with you, Dean. I think he'd bang the goals in under the system under Potter. I don't need Felix, but I had to bring it up because I thought it was hilarious. I mean, what a clown! What an absolute
You know what I am glad about, and I know, sorry, Mark, we're interrupting your ratings here, but one thing I am glad about is that a year ago we would have signed Felix on loan. We would have gone and pissed. We would have pissed the money up the wall and brought in. But also, I don't understand Felix's choice, because I know everyone's saying, "Oh, the Chelsea project appealed to him." It's like, well, you're lying, because you're only there for 6 months.
We never got over the line with him.
Yeah, but Arsenal were interested in him, and it's like, and if you had the choice between the people who are currently at the top of the Premier League, you might leave in 6 months with a Premier League winners medal, your reputation intact. Instead, they're going to join whatever Potter is trying to manage at the minute down in 10th.
It's crazy, isn't it? And to be fair, Arsenal wouldn't have paid the money anyway. You know, Arsenal wouldn't have paid the money. And the best of it is, this is the even funny part, they get him to sign a long-term contract before he goes.
Yeah,
I think that's to do with FFP, though, isn't it? I think that's to do with FFP, and I think that's to bring
Simeone. Simeone's leaving at the end of the season. I was reading today as well. So I think if Felix plays his cards right here, gets a bit of Premier League experience, hopefully gets back into form, then going to throw it out here. Maybe Pochettino, someone like that, an attacking manager comes into Atletico Madrid with Simeone, even all of a sudden, Felix.
I think Poch is a cert for that, you know, Keane. I think you're right there, mate. I think you've called that way. I think you called it, mate. Fair play.
And then the moving pieces will be Potter will end up getting sacked because Chelsea and Simeone will hop across to Chelsea, and we'll end up watching 4-2-3-1 Haram ball from Diego Simeone. It's like watching that original Mourinho side all over again.
Yeah, it'll be.
Thanks, boys. I've got loads to clip up tonight, and I'm sure this will irate.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Tomorrow. No, you're absolutely fine. It's good to listen. It's nice to know that I'm not chatting shit about Bowley. I think he's an absolute waste of time, and I think he's the patience of nothing. He'll be gone soon, but we'll see. Right, moving on to the final two, Anthony. And I'm going to give that to, all three of you, go for it.
I think a 6. I think his goal bumped him up a little bit. I think, he didn't set the world alight, but it was solid enough. And at the end of the day, the goal was a banger. And it shows what he can do. He loves to cut in, and fullbacks and sort of left centre halves out there, don't let him cut in on his left foot. It's as simple as that. I'm not saying that he's anywhere near Iron Robin's level, but it was one of those things with Iron Robin. Do you know what I mean? And same with Frank Ribery. You didn't let Robin cut in on his left foot.
And because he still did you every time. Still did you every time as well.
Well, I think Anthony was good. But I think maybe what it is maybe we're starting to expect a little bit more from our players now, which is nice. Because a year ago, I probably would have given him a 9 just because he scored and got me out of my seat. You know what I mean?
But I go with a 6. I think a 6 is
So
I'm kind of in agreement with Jarvis. I'd probably go 6.5, probably just because the goal. I'd bump him up that little small bit, but maybe I'm just feeling generous tonight because again, like I said, it's starting to show vindication.
You are feeling generous.
Me? Generous? Never.
You could have given him a 6.5 because he came out with, or he lost it a few times when he tried to run out the back.
I didn't give him a 6.5. I gave him a 6.
Yeah, you could give him because at least he tried.
Yeah, at least he tried. Yeah, look, at least he tried.
Centre halves union, Keane. Centre halves union, mate. You've heard the goalkeeper sheet. Centre halves union.
Right, final one. Probably everybody's man of the match, certainly mine, Marcus Rashford. And I'm going to give this one to you, Stu.
Oh, what? Fuck's sake.
You can have a go next then, Jamie.
Yeah, we're all taking this one.
Yeah, funnily enough, you guys can take it, but I'm going to say something right now. And I'd really found it difficult to pick a man of the match. I thought it was an abject performance. So I think it's really hard to go with man of the match. So I'll let you guys go with your scores, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
I think Marcus Rashford gets a million out of 10. Simple.
Not possible, but I like your enthusiasm. Kane?
I'll give him, if you got a hat trick, I would have given him a 10, but I'll give him a 9. I'll give him a 9 just because he didn't get the hat trick. And he's, let me bump that up to a 10 because Greg.
He's feeling generous.
I can. I'm feeling generous because Greg Chambers, you are fucking wrong. You are wrong, my friend. Wrong, 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 wrong.
You're absolutely right because he played what was it 20? Did he play 20 minutes or 25?
It's about 25 all in all, I think.
Right, 25 all in all. I was
Let me
having a
have a look.
debate, as it happens. I was having a debate a few weeks ago. Not that I have many debates, but I was having a debate. And a very good friend of mine who knows a lot about football was saying, it's very difficult to give a substitute man of the match. And I just come around and said, well, that's just bollocks. I said, you don't have to play 90 minutes to get man of the match. You can play 5 minutes and be man of the match by what you do. So I was going to go in at 8.5 for Rashford, purely by the length that he's played. That was it. But that would be churlish of me.
Came on in the 60th minute, so played 34.
Yeah. So that would be churlish of me. So like Keane says, I think to give him a score, it's got to be 11.
A million. If he can have 11, I can have 1 million because it's the exact same scale anyway.
It's got to be turn the amp up to 11, hasn't it? That's what it's got to be today. I was really, I'm more pleased for him, and his performance rather than, whether or not he gets man of the match or something. I just thought it's great to see him scoring goals and in confidence. So.
The guy's back living the dream. Do you know what I mean? He's the Wythenshawe kid. He played for Fletcher Moss. He then came through into the United Academy. He's now playing for the best bald manager in the league. I never want a manager with hair ever again. Do you know what I mean? Anyone else that wants the job, shave your head, okay? And he's banging. And do you know what I mean? And if he'd have got a hat trick after being brought on, it would have been like Leipzig all over again. But 2 against Charlton. They'll all go home and they'll be happy because they played alongside the greatest player to play association football in the world. Marcus Rashford cutting in. It's what dreams are made of. So 1 million. 1,000,001 out of 10, and you can fuck off, Mark.
You can't go with 1,000,001. You can have 1 million.
All right, thank you.
Listen, boys. I appreciate all of that, but we can't be discussing this all night. I really like this comment by Sean, and Sean, I want to see you back next time, brother. You've got some great comments, and Rashford gets a goal in the same length of time. Felix earns £4,000. There you go. Nice little bit of maths for you. I don't know how true that is, but maybe someone can work that out.
He's been doing some Pythagoras theorem too.
He has. He's taken Jamie. He's used it, and he's got C. Anyway, let's. We'll see you next time. Obviously, we've got a lot of shows coming up. I fucked that up big time. Anyway, I'm still elated from the 3-0. But listen, great to have you all in tonight. Really, really good show. Jamie, really good to see you back, buddy, and hopefully get you on more as over the next few weeks. Stu,
just don't message me the day of. Just try and plan it in with me a little bit better.
Well, you know better than me how unreliable you are. So that you can't, you pot kettle, brother. But anyway, thanks for everyone. Obviously, Keane, thank you very much, mate. Stu, as always, buddy. And we'll see you very, very soon. Got a preview coming up. Probably another match reaction on City game on when we play them. What is it? Saturday, Sunday?
Saturday morning.
12.
Saturday,
the early
12:30.
kickoff. Fuck off.
Jarvis agrees with me. Get that comment up. Come on, man. In fact, I'll put it up. Thanks, Jarvis.
There you go. Someone has to agree with you, Stu. Anyway, listen, we'll see you next time, boys. Enjoy the game at the weekend, and we'll see you at the reaction.
See you guys.